Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick review before you took your short assessment in Schoology on comparing fractions. So the first thing I wanted to remind you is that when you're doing your drawing for each fraction, you want to make sure that the shape that you're starting with is the same size. So actually cut an index card in half, and this is what I'm going to trace to use for both of my picture representations of my fractions before I choose the symbol that's going to go comparing them. So the first one I already did. I wrote 1/4 and 1/2. So 1/4 is going to be greater than or less than 1/2. So I traced my fraction bar and I split it into my 4 parts. A good tip to remember when you're drawing, if you need 4 parts, you draw 3 lines. So anytime you want to divide your fraction bar, just make sure that you're doing one less than the number of parts that you need. So I did 1, 2, 3 lines, so I have my 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So 1/4 would be here. And then for the half, I can trace it again. And it needs to be in 2 parts, so that means I only need 1 line. So 1/2 would be here. So now I have to compare my fraction bar pictures and say that it looks like 1/4 is definitely less than 1/2. So if 1/4 is less than, then that means 1/2 is greater than, and that means it would get the 2 dots, and I can draw my symbol. 1/4 is less than 1/2. Okay, for the next one, I have the fractions 2/3 and 1/4. I already copied my boxes, so now I know I need 3 parts. That means I need 2 lines. So I kind of have to see, okay, I need about right there. 1, 2, 3 parts. 2 of them are shaded, so I've got 2/3, and then we got 4 parts here, so that means I need 3 lines. So I need 1, 2, 3. And that means 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And I got 1/4. So it looks like that 2/3 is definitely greater than 1/4. The greater than fraction gets the 2 dots. So here is my symbol for greater than. 2/3 is greater than 1/4. All right, our next one is 1/3 and 4/6. So here I'm going to split this fraction bar up into 3 parts. So I need 2 lines, and I need 1 shaded. And here is 4/6, so that means I need 5 lines. So it's a little more difficult. Just kind of eyeball it as best as you can. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. And that means we got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So clearly we can see that 1/3 is definitely less than 4/6. So that if the less than sign, that means this number is greater. This side gets our 2 dots, and 1/3 is less than 4/6. All right, the last one I'm going to show you is 2/8 and 1/2. Just by looking at these, we should know this answer before we even draw. If you've noticed, the higher the number of parts, the smaller the pieces there are. So this is only divided into 2 parts. So clearly the pieces here are much bigger than the pieces are going to be here when we have this same size fraction bar divided into 8 parts. So I need 7 lines for my 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I'm only coloring and shading in 2 of these parts. So here's 1 and here's 2. So we should have known before we even drew our pictures that this is probably going to be smaller or less than the part over here, which is an entire half of that whole part. So just remember that the more pieces there are, the smaller the pieces are going to be. The less pieces that is divided into, the larger the pieces are going to be. So for this, we would say that 2/8 is less than 1/2.